Is an outsider with a bunch of bad posts better than an insider who happens to be the second least popular governor in America, according to one poll? I don't know. I don't think anyone else does either. So my argument is just like everyone should just chill the fuck out and let the voters in Maine decide, and we'll go from there. Welcome back to Polar Coaster. I'm Dan Pfeiffer. On today's show, I'll be discussing the latest from Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner, the state of the New York City mayoral race, and then answer your Discord questions. Joining me, as always, is Caroline Reston. Caroline, how are you?
Dan, I'm doing great, but let's get right into it. So let's talk about Maine. Last week, Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner apologized after offensive Reddit comments resurfaced on the internet. He just came out with an interview on Pod Save America with Tommy that just dropped on Tuesday. And I want to play a few clips. Oh, wait, we're cutting that part. Just dropped on Pod Save America. So I want to get your reaction from this. What's been your take on this whole scandal?
Yeah, I don't know if scandal's the right word, but let's take a step back for a second. The Maine Senate race has sparked this huge debate. There was a huge debate before these posts came out. There's a huge, even bigger debate after the post came out, and it really is a debate about two things: the future of the Democratic Party and the question of electability. Prior to the post coming out, the Senate Democratic leadership, Chuck Schumer, a lot of the people in the Democratic establishment believed that Janet Mills is the two-term governor of the state. She's won statewide multiple times, was the best candidate to run against Susan Collins, which is a very hard race to win. Others believe that Graham Platner, who is an outsider, a populist reformer, someone who could potentially appeal to some of the working class voters we've lost, young men voters we've lost, might be a better option. And the people who thought that Mills was not the best case, one of the arguments was that she's 77 now. She'll be 85 by the time she leaves the Senate at the end of her first term. She's already said she's only going to serve one term. People raised concern about running a 77-year-old establishment politician in this political environment. On the Mills side, the argument was that Graham Platner is untested and unvetted. And do we really want to send an untested, unvetted candidate up against Susan Collins in a race we absolutely have to win? These posts come out that people believe that has proven, people on the pro-Mill side or the anti-Platner side believe that has proven their case, right? This is why you don't pick these unknown candidates, because they could have something come out, at the last minute beforehand. There's just something we don't know. We don't know how they will perform on a debate stage, right? Under the white hot glare of a top Senate race. So let's look at two questions. One, how has Platner responded to it? I think his response has been pretty good. I think, if we're being totally honest, the posts are pretty bad. Many of them are bad. He's attributed them to things he posted online in a dark period of his life. Right after coming home from war, he was overly online. He sort of, says he got his shit together, doesn't believe these things anymore. He's disavowed a lot of that, disavowed them and apologized for them, as he did in this interview and in a sort of a 5-minute direct-to-camera video that his campaign released over the weekend. And so the question is, how much does this matter? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's safe to say that these posts will be weaponized against him, that the Senate Republicans and the super PACs are going to spend tens of millions of dollars taking the worst things he said and making sure that every single person in Maine can recite them from memory. That's definitely going to happen. How much is that going to matter when it's had an entire year to wash through the system? Right? The answer is, I don't know. And I think that to me is the biggest point here, which is everyone thinks they know. And that's the bigger point here. Is I think anyone who is so positive about what voters want in this environment, about what defines the most electable candidate, has been paying attention to politics for the last few years. I think we all should have some real humility. Is an outsider with a bunch of bad posts better than an insider who happens to be the second least popular governor in America, according to one poll? I don't know. I don't think anyone else does either. So my argument is just everyone should just chill the fuck out and let the voters in Maine decide, and we'll go from there. I think the DSCC shouldn't be involved. I think, if individual people want to support individual candidates they have, that's right. But if you're trying to reverse engineer this for the best candidate to run against Susan Collins, we don't know the answer to that. So let's just let the voters decide.
Yeah, I feel like also a lot of his handling of the fallout is very humanizing of him. When, I think he mentioned this on the interview, so many politicians, the traditional politician is so not human. Make him just a real person.
Let me say one more thing about that, which is I think that to his and his campaign's credit, I think they have handled this in a way that is consistent with his outsider appeal. They haven't like delved into the the typical playbook and the offering like curt non-apology apologies or hiding him from scrutiny. He did a bunch of interviews of not just Platner, he did a bunch of interviews over the weekend to talk about this. But will that matter in the end against tens of millions of dollars of ads? I don't know. Right. But he has 7 months of a primary to make that case, and if he wins the general election, he has 13 months or basically a year until the election.
I forgot how far away this election is. Like,
all of these
going to be,
yeah. It's same thing in Michigan. Everyone's very fired up with the Michigan primary, the Texas primary. These things are all months and months and months away.
Wow.
So just let it play out is my argument.
Yeah, and the idea. Like the strategy behind just putting out the opposition research yourself, like he sent over that video of him dancing to Wrecking Ball in his underwear. Yeah. Like, is that a strategy you get it? It's
better to get ahead of those things, right? So you can at least talk about them on your terms as opposed to letting your opponents in the media frame it for you.
Was there anything else in his interview yesterday with Tommy that you had a take on or stood out to you?
And that is like at the end of the interview, his sort of core populist message about what we need to do to make life better for working class people is broadly appealing and can very much work. The question is, will he be the right messenger to deliver it, right? That's what the voters will decide. That's it for this week's preview of Polar Coaster. If you want to watch the rest of the episode, become a paid member of this channel by clicking the join button below. When you subscribe, you also get more exclusive content and ad-free episodes of Pod Save America and more crooked shows. Plus, joining is the best way to directly support us as we build a counterweight to right-wing media like Fox News. You can learn more at crooked.com/friends. Thanks, and see you next time.